April 14th, 2022 Farragut Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting will now come to order. All Farragut Board of Mayor and Alderman meetings are public notice per Tennessee state law. Our meetings can be seen live on Charter Channel 193 as well as TDS Channel 3 and also on the Farragut YouTube channel as well as our website. It will also be recorded and can be viewed later on the Town of Farragut YouTube channel as well as Charter Channel 193 and TDS Channel 3. During the regular posted agenda, all items or questions from Farragut residents will now be in person. If you're interested in speaking, we ask that you fill out a blue card with your name and address and the agenda number that you want to speak about and turn it into the town recorder prior to the start of the meeting. Vice Mayor or the Mayor or the Vice Mayor shall maintain control of the meeting to provide a professional and objective environment, so please read the posted comment protocol, and understand that there will be a 5-minute limit for each speaker. And also, please stay on topic. As at the end of tonight's business meeting, there will be some time reserved for public comment under the citizens' comment agenda, in which the same rules apply as a regular posted agenda item. Okay, we'll start tonight with a silent prayer, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to our country's flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we get into tonight's agenda, I'd like to provide some information about the Farragut Board of Mayor and Alderman meetings. The Board of Mayor and Alderman meet the second and the fourth Thursday of each month. Typically, we meet only once during the months of November and December, and that is usually the second Thursday of those months. Our staff develops a meeting agenda based on the current business items that need to be considered and any ordinances that the board needs to discuss or vote on. All the ordinances and text amendments to an ordinance are required by state law to be voted on with 2 separate readings, each reading occurring in a separate meeting. Agendas are posted in the newspaper, online, on the meeting board in advance of each meeting date as required by state law. The mayor will maintain the control of the meeting to provide a professional and objective environment. In the mayor's absence, the vice mayor will maintain the control of the meeting. Each agenda item will be read into the record by the mayor and the TOF staff. Responsible for that agenda item will give a brief explanation of that agenda item. They will state the specific motion for approval and remain available to address any questions the board members may have. Any Farragut resident interested in commenting on a specific agenda item should read the comment protocol. If they agree to abide by the comment protocol, then they should fill out a blue comment card and deliver it to the town recorder on my left prior to the start of the meeting with the agenda number that they wish to comment on. All citizen comments will be specific to that agenda topic. Any other comment not pertaining to the agenda item can be saved for citizens forum at the end of the meeting. After citizens' comments on the agenda item have been heard, each board member will have an opportunity to ask the department head or the applicant questions concerning the specific agenda item. Once there has been sufficient discussion, the mayor will call for a roll call vote on all ordinances or a verbal vote on any business item. At the end of tonight's business meeting, there will be time reserved for public comment on general matters of concern. Citizens Forum is an opportunity for all residents of Farragut to make statements on matters of public interest. The comment protocol rules apply to the Citizen Forum as well. Okay, next we will have a roll call vote, or roll call by the town recorder for a quorum.
Alderman Burnett.
Here.
Alderman Meyer. Alderman Pinchuk.
Here.
Alderman Pavlin. Here. Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams here. Okay, do Do we have any agenda amendments?
No, sir.
None?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of approval, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Let the record show that the April 14th, 2022 agenda has been approved as stated. Okay, next will be approval of minutes. Do we have any amendments
No,
to the
sir.
minutes? None. Okay.
To approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approval, say yes.
Yes.
Let the record show that the March 24, 2021 minutes have been approved and will be recorded as official minutes of that meeting. I have given my report, and I'm going to now give the floor to the Vice Mayor.
And I'm here just to introduce Julie from the Chamber for our monthly update.
Good evening, Board, Mayor. It's nice to be here again so quickly. I was only here a couple weeks ago. We were a little off schedule last month, but we're back on schedule. So moving forward, this will be more consistent. Happy to be here. So tonight you have in front of you just the review of the Chamber's activities and what's going on with our new businesses from the month of March. I'll go over this quickly as I can. We welcomed 11 total new business members to our Chamber, 2 of which are in Farragut. Complete Salon Suites, which is over there in the Renaissance, and Mucho Gusto Food Truck, which is actually owned by one of our brick and mortar Farragut business owners, Udi from International Flair Jewelers. She has a Venezuelan food truck. We haven't had a chance to try it yet, but we're looking forward to it. One interesting thing to note is I was looking at stats for the first quarter for the Chamber for new business members, and we have tracked over 10 new businesses a month. We're up to 43 new businesses joining year to date. That's a pretty significant uptick from 2021 and 2020 numbers, so it's nice to see such activity in 2022. For March events, we hosted a total of 10 programs, including networkings, ribbon cuttings, and educational, of which 4 of them were actually in Farragut, and several of you attended, so thank you for your presence and your support. And we had a couple of other engagements as well, including co-sponsoring another SBDC class over at the Community Center on e-commerce startup and a TVAC meeting. New opportunities and things we want you to know about. The big thing that's coming up on the immediate horizon for the Chamber as well as for Shop Farragut, my partner in crime, Steve Krimpaski, is the What's Out West Expo, which I certainly hope you've heard about at this point. I'm sure you have. Steve and I confirmed that we are clocked in at 100 business vendors at this point. And I actually, sorry, Steve, I just had requests for a couple more booths this evening, so it's going to be fantastic. He and I are both working. I'm working on making sure the vendors know where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do, and Steve is doing the hard work of getting our venue space up to code so we can have the event, and I appreciate him for doing all that. But we're going to have food samples from several of our restaurants and food vendors. Of course, Water into Wine and Admiral Pub will be providing adult beverages for purchase. A lot of the vendors are doing some really cool games and giveaways and prizes. As you know, Halloran Hilton Hill is going to be doing his remote live on site, and he's going to be giving away James Taylor tickets. And we're appreciative to have Mayor Williams coming and doing a Q&A. You'll be joined next door by Mayor Jacobs for at least part of the time. So we hope the community comes out. It's a networking opportunity from 3 to 7 for businesses, but it's also for the public to come out and meet their community. You might find a new retailer or service provider while you're at it. So tickets are still $5 at farragutchamber.com, or you can come to the office. They will be $10 at the door. So we're really looking forward to a great event. We introduced something new this past month called Member of the Month. It's an idea that our communications and digital coordinator came up with. So we want businesses to interact with each other. So every third Monday, you'll get an email, and you will be able to nominate an individual or a business who is a member of the Chamber. They have to mirror or exhibit at least one of the Chamber's 5 core values, which is we pride ourselves on integrity, stewardship, excellence, inclusion, and an enterprising spirit. We will pick the winner at random. Although this inaugural month, we had so many nominations for Volunteer Ministry Center, specifically Zan Shriver, that we felt remiss that we couldn't pick him. And so whoever gets awarded Member of the Month will be spotlighted through our marketing channels and celebrated. So a couple of save the dates. I'm sure you all know May 5th is the Knox County Budget Address. The Chamber will be there in force. So we hope to see you there. Another reminder that on June 14th, that's the Regional 5-Chamber event out at the venue at Lenore City. So it's us, it's Loudoun County, Anderson County, Oak Ridge, and Roane County. And then a last-minute save the date for June 29th, which we are penciling in for our breakfast speaker series. That event will be held at Rothschild. We wanted to have it at Foxden Country Club, but as you know, there are some really exciting renovations going on at Foxden right now, so they're having to change how they host events. They're also plagued by staffing issues like a lot of our businesses, so it makes it a little harder for them. But we will get an event back over to Foxden as soon as we can. And then you just have a list of events that are coming up. Events in Farragut are highlighted in blue, so we definitely want you at those if you can possibly make it. And with that, I'll take questions.
None.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other aldermen have anything to report?
Mayor, I've got something real quick.
Okay, go right ahead.
At Mayor and Board, I have a family commitment this evening that I may need to step out early for. I know the agenda's not packed, but 6:45-ish. If you see me exit stage left, I'm not mad at anybody. So just a heads up. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the intros. Next, we'll move right on into ordinances. We have 2 ordinances on tonight's agenda.
Presentation.
Oh,
Our auditors are here.
I forgot. Sorry about that.
All right, tonight we have Melinda Moyer and Erica Henry here with Whitlock and Company to present our financial report for year-end June 30th, 2021.
I would first like to say thank you to everyone that helped with the audit in any small or big way. And I would like to thank Allison for all of her help throughout the audit. She graciously answered all of our questions. And without the support from the town, we would not have been able to complete the audit. So thank you. I first want to point out that the town of Farragut received a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 29th consecutive year. I also want to point out that the town received an unqualified opinion, which means a clean opinion. And that's the type of report that every entity that we audit strives to obtain. There were also no findings associated with the audit report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. And what that means is that based on the audit evidence, that we didn't see any areas of concern that would need to be addressed as a result of the audit. And next, I would like to walk you through just some of the major highlights of the audit. The town's cash and investment balance did decrease by approximately $348,000 from year to year. However, with all the activities and all of the investments that the town made in capital assets, that's not a huge decrease. The town's accounts receivable balance increased by approximately $1.9 million year over year, and that's was driven by the unpaid local sales tax that was collected in July and August of 2021. During 2021, the town had an increase of approximately $11.1 million in capital assets that it invested back into the city into the town to offer services to its citizens. The town's liabilities increased by approximately $1.3 million, which was not surprising to us because it's a result of the increase in accounts payable at the end of the year related to the construction projects that were going on in the town. And at the end of 2021, the town had a net position of approximately $93 million. Of that net position, $1 million, or 1.2% of that, was restricted with external restrictions related to the state street aid, pension, and tourism funds. and $54 million, or 58% of the net position, was represented by the town's investment in capital assets. The town uses these capital assets to provide services to the citizens of the town, and the assets are not available for future spending of the town. But the remaining balance of approximately $38 million may be used to meet the town's ongoing obligations to the cities and the creditors. For the 2021 fiscal year, the town reported approximately $17 million in revenue, and approximately $9 million in revenue resulted in an increase in net position. The town's revenues increased year over year by approximately $2.6 million. And the reason for this increase was the $1.7 million increase in tax revenue, mainly resulting from the increase in sales tax revenue, which is a trend that we've seen across the area for the different towns and cities that we audit. And there was an $800,000 increase in capital grants and contributions, largely associated with the new playground. The town's expenses decreased year over year by approximately $205,000. But I do want to note one thing. While there was an overall reduction in expenses, the town still invested in its employees by increasing salaries and employee benefits. The increase was approximately 4% from last year. And just a couple of closing remarks. Based on the financial statement audit for June 30th, 2021, the town is strong financially. The town continues to be debt-free. And when I say debt-free, I mean no notes payable, bond payables, or capital leases. So all the fixed assets that the town purchased, they purchased outright. The town invests heavily in capital assets to ensure that it can serve its citizens while continuing to fund its public services and public works at the same levels as in the past. And the town continues to maintain healthy levels of cash and investments to fund future operations. I appreciate the board allowing me to present the town's audit and allow me to communicate the main highlights of the audit. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Really
Thank
thank you
you.
for your
Yeah.
time. We know we're doing well. It's nice to hear someone confirm it.
Thank you, that was good work. Very good, very good. Okay, we have two ordinances on tonight's agenda for review and public hearing. Both of those will be on the first reading. And we'll start with ordinance 22-01, which is an ordinance on the first reading to amend the Farragut zoning map to rezone parcel 6, tax map 151, 421 North Watt Road from general commercial, which is C1, to neighborhood convenience commercial, which is NCC. Robert Campbell and Associates will be the applicant.
Okay, good evening. I'm Mark Shipley. I'll present these next two ordinances for you. This particular rezoning is on the west side of Watt Road, just before you leave the town. And the property to the north was rezoned to neighborhood convenience commercial a few years ago. And so this is a 9.2 acre tract. The applicant is requesting to rezone this so that they can construct a mixed-use development. This is just a concept the latest concept that was presented to the staff. As you all know, recently there was an amendment made to the zoning ordinance to require a concept plan when rezoning requests come before the Planning Commission and the Board for Neighborhood Convenience Commercial to try to establish how the residential and non-residential would be distributed within the development. This project actually was applied for prior to the concept plan requirements. It really isn't a requirement for this particular rezoning. They do have, obviously, a concept plan. They presented a different version to the Planning Commission when this was talked with the Planning Commission. So They've revised it slightly in some conversations with some folks in Loudoun County over what had been an access that they had shown to Harrison Road. Most of the property is within the town limits. There is a small section on the west end that is in Loudoun County. And of course, the property fronts on Harrison Road in Loudoun County. The rezoning for you really wouldn't affect that. And they don't really show any, without to establish where exactly that line is, but it's a very small portion of this property. And they don't propose any buildings or development in the Loudoun County portion of their property. So the vast majority is within the town limits. The rezoning request is, we had a public workshop with the community out at Watt Road a few years ago in 2018, and we looked at the future land use map out there, and we made some adjustments based on the public input that we received. And one of the bigger changes out there was a lot of medium density residential, and people, many of those areas were requested to change to mixed use neighborhood because the community wanted to see some small scale neighborhood and maybe some attached or detached single family around that could support the park that's just to the south of this property. So the property in question was included as an area that was seen as a mixed-use neighborhood candidate. So the neighborhood convenience commercial is consistent with that future land use designation. For that reason, as far as the rezoning itself, when it was presented for a recommendation at the Planning Commission in January, they did unanimously recommend approval of ordinance 22-01, and the staff recommends approval of this ordinance on first reading. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer those. The applicant also is here. I do have one person that has signed up to speak on this.
Do we need a motion first?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. At this point, I think we probably need to hear from Mr. Campbell.
I just want to tell you, thank you. We're good with the rezoning and appreciate working with staff and everybody. We've heard the comments from the neighbors and tried to put something in place that would be good for everybody. So we just ask for your approval.
Okay, just stand by. We may have
Yes,
some
sir.
questions a little
No
bit
worries.
later. Next, what we will do here is we do have one person signed up, you said?
Yes.
Okay, prior to the board discussing this, I'd like to hear from the resident that would like to speak.
Okay, that's Mike Driver.
Thanks for letting me speak. My name is Mike Driver. I'm the president of the homeowner association there at Amberley Meadows. We're just off, we always get confused if it's Harrison Lane, Harrison Road, and I've lived there for 13 years. But the property in question, the question we came here when it was through before the Planning Commission earlier, a month or so ago, was the exit entrance onto Harrison Lane or Harrison Road there. My concern was that we have, our subdivision is about, it's a small subdivision, nice homes, a lot of people who are older live in the subdivision, and we were concerned about, there's a hill and there's going to be a lot of traffic exiting there, a safety for our homeowners to be able to exit there and travel on that road. So we expressed a lot of concern about that exit point. We did have a commissioner from Loudoun County from that district there at the meeting that particular night, and I'm very happy, and I've sent this out to a lot of the homeowners in the community, that the applicant here has, it appears to, I think, remove that exit entry point onto Harrison Lane. I think that's a really good, I mean, we agree with the NCC. Most people I've talked to, we like that. We'd like to see some development in restaurants and stuff in that area. We're seeing a lot of growth. I've lived in that area for over 20 years, taught at Farragut High School for 15 years before that. And so we've seen a lot of growth. We've seen a lot of traffic. We'd love to see the Watt Road intersection in Kingston Pike get done pretty quickly. As we drove in tonight, it was backed up to the Shell, back to the Ace Hardware. And so anyway, we like what's going on there, and my wife's already said that's a place we can walk to and maybe eat over there and stuff like that. So just final comments, we appreciate the change there, and we look forward to working with, the new community and the townhomes in that area.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Driver. Okay, anyone else? No? Okay. Okay, now we'll open it up to discussion from the board members, and we'll start out with Alderman Meyer.
I just want to thank the developer for spending the time to listen to residents. That really just gets to the heart and the soul of what our town's about, is development that's wise and that's based on resident input. And it's so good to know that the residents in this case are happy. So that makes me very happy. So, and I love a lower impact zoning, which is what this is. I think the residents realize that it was originally commercially zoned, right? And with that, the traffic would have been higher. And so it's a win-win for everybody. You all get a place to eat. I'm very supportive of eating, so that's a good thing. Definitely like that. I definitely like the lower impact of the NCC, and so just thank you for your creativity. I appreciate it. So I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Alderman Pinchot.
I just want to say I'm really pleased with the plan that I've seen, and wish you well. Good luck.
Alderman Burnett.
Yep. I'll echo that. Plan looks good, and really appreciate you working with the residents' concerns, having a good solution.
Vice Mayor Pavlin.
I just want to add to some of Alderman Meyer's comments about the reduction in land use intensity, because I don't know that sometimes we really understand what that looks like. This is originally zoned C1, and could have developed out because it's 9.2 acres. I've been advised from other developers that you get about 10,000 square feet per acre, give or take. That could lead to about a 90,000 square foot building. With no grocery, it would have been 6,076 average daily trips. With a grocery, it would have been about 8,500 average daily trips. This particular development with the townhomes, and I kind of try to back into a square footage based on your parking spots, comes out to about 800 to 1,000 average daily trips. So a significant decrease in what the traffic could have been if it developed out commercially. So sometimes we don't really necessarily want to see more development, but when someone comes along and wants to decrease the impact of that development and provide something that really is going to be an asset to the residents behind there and the residents across the street, as long as we can get them across Watt Road safely, this is, I really am impressed with this development. I'm happy that you're bringing it to us.
Okay. Well, I echo everything that's been said. This is a good, one of the best reasons that we do the quarter studies. During our quarter study, we looked at all the parcels on Watt Road, and we listened to the residents that and property owners that were on Watt Road. And so what Mr. Driver has brought to us is very typical of what we heard, and and also from the surrounding neighborhoods, which would be Orchid Hills and Sedgefield. It was kind of a thing where I don't think anybody wanted a big box store up on top of that hill or a hotel. And with the development that will be coming along in the future, on the other end of Watt Road, it could have been a very distinct possibility that that would have happened. So we're pleased. Mr. Campbell, I thank you for your presence. And at this point, if we have no other discussion, I'll ask the town recorder to take a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Burnett,
Yes.
Alderman Meyer,
Yes.
Alderman Pinchot,
Yes.
Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show that ordinance 22-01 has been approved as presented on the first reading.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
We'll stay up here for the next one.
Oh, that's right, you're on there. Next will be ordinance 22-07. This is an ordinance to amend the Farragut zoning map 152, parcels 33.03, 33.04. This would be located at 721 Virtue Road and at 12444 Evans Road. This would be from changing from agriculture district, which is A, to rural single-family residential, which is R1. And this will be Robert Campbell and Associates applicant again.
Yeah, this rezoning request has two existing parcels. It's at the south intersection of Evans Road and Virtue Road. One parcel fronts on Evans Road, has frontage of about 360 feet west of the cemetery. On that property, there's a riding ring and a horse riding ring and a barn. And then on the other tract that fronts mostly on Virtue Road, the property owner's house and a barn is situated on that property. The agricultural zoning district requires a minimum lot size of 5 acres. The applicant or property owner may potentially subdivide the property into lots that are less than 5 acres. And so they are requesting to rezone the property to the rural single-family residential. To the north, the Farm at Willow Creek subdivision and Vista subdivision, they're both zoned R1. So it is a compatible zoning district with the general area. During discussion with the Planning Commission, we did ask the applicant if they might want to look at a couple other districts. On the future land use map, most of the area over there is open space cluster residential, which is most closely related to the OSR, open space residential, and open space mixed residential zoning districts. There were some benefits to doing an OSR with this property because you still have the same density as R1, but there is a drainage way through the property and some steep slopes. And so we mentioned that as an option. Another zoning district that we mentioned was the R1SA, and that's a minimum 1 acre lot size because our understanding is the property owner doesn't want to subdivide into smaller than 1 acre lots. So again, something to look at. They evaluated those and they are requesting to move forward with the R1 district. So one of the things that we talked about with the Planning Commission, as I mentioned earlier, the future land use map shows that as open space cluster residential. The future land use map would need to be amended to rural residential, which is greater than 1 acre as a future land use. But really there's some other areas, other tracts that are in that immediate area that need to be looked at as well, was the Planning Commission's thought. So it probably doesn't need to just be specific to these two parcels, but maybe the larger area. For example, the property to the immediate west is already kind of divided into large estate lots. And that would be really more suitable as a rural residential land use as opposed to open space cluster, which it also is designated. So we felt like that was kind of a separate issue that we'd need to clean that up a little bit. Wouldn't hold up the rezoning, but ultimately we need to move in that direction with the Planning Commission. Since this district, from the staff's perspective, is compatible with the general area, we do recommend approval of ordinance 22-07 on first reading. It was unanimously recommended for approval by the Planning Commission at their meeting on March 17th. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer those.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any questions for Mark? If not, we will move on to Mr. Campbell, for your presentation.
Not much of one. Again, we just, we think that R1 works very well for what Mr. Williams, and he couldn't be here. He had a little medical thing within his family, so asked me to come and talk. But he really wants to kind of create this little mini farm thing for each lot so that each property owner has their ability to do their own open space, or if they want to have what they want to have. And we understand the open space. And I think if we're doing more of a traditional subdivision where you had homes with that, but he's kind of creating this little mini farm atmosphere, and that's, as you know, he's got animals and stuff, and he really enjoys that. So we think the R1 lets that individual lot be its own open area as each property owner dictates and wants to do, rather than kind of have that communal thing. And so that's why we would really appreciate voting for the R1. I think it's a good thing for what his vision is.
Okay, hang around. We may have some
No worries.
questions. Okay, prior to the board discussion, we'll like to see if there's any resident comments. This would be prior to
I
our-
didn't have any.
None, okay. Then we'll start out with Alderman Meyer.
I just want to appreciate the fact that the development is meeting the context of the property around it, so that's always important to us. So I'm in favor.
Alderman Burnett.
Yep, very reasonable request. No other questions.
Alderman Pinchot.
Questions, I pass.
Vice Mayor Povlin.
Nothing.
And as well. And with discussion closed, I'll ask the town recorder for a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Meyer,
Yes.
Alderman Pinchot,
Yes.
Alderman Povlin,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Thank you, Mark. Let the record show that ordinance 22-07 has been approved as presented on the first reading.
Thank you all. Y'all be safe.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next will be our business items. We have 2 business items on tonight's agenda to review and consider. And we'll start out with approval of special event for Farragut High School's Frost 5K Run to be held on December 17th, 2022. Boy, you guys are getting an early start.
They're prepared, which is good. Included in your packet is all the information, and on your screen is the desired route. And the motion is to approve the event application for December 17th, 2020, involving the use of the town's public right-of-ways and pedestrian facilities for the Farragut Frost 5K and Ride benefiting the Farragut High School cross-country team.
Okay.
Need a motion to approve.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Can I say it's the Farragut Frosty 5K?
Frosty?
5K.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I threw that
I
in
like
there.
that better.
Thank you, guys.
Application had frost.
Oh, well, that's
So
just
I'll
me.
have her
That's
change
just
it.
my quick typing while I'm trying to get
Okay.
this done at school, so yeah.
All right. I'll have
Perfect.
Maria change it too.
All right, great. Thank you, guys.
Okay, do we have any residents
Yes,
signed
sir.
up to comment on this one? We do not? Okay, then I guess we can move on to discussion. And Alderman Meyer?
So you have to refresh my memory. Is this the first time we've done this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is this the first time that a school team has asked to make a very significant presence on town streets?
That a school has, but this is not the first time we have a race running through
Through the neighborhoods?
Village Green. We have
Okay.
one
Yeah.
coming up pretty soon.
Okay. So is this track similar to that one?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, you actually have 2 on the next agenda that are, it's a very similar
Is it?
route.
Okay. I mean, I've never heard any complaints. I've heard suggestions for me to participate, but I've never heard any complaints. The only other question I had was there were 400 folks, I think. Is that 400 runners, or does that include?
That's a really wild guess because we've
Okay.
never put this on. We're not 100%
Okay,
sure.
I got you.
That weekend before Christmas.
Sure, okay, okay. We don't know. Awesome. All right, no other questions, thank you.
Hey, Alderman Pinchot?
I pass.
Alderman Burnett?
No other questions.
Vice Mayor?
I have nothing.
I have nothing as well. Is there anything else you would like to talk
No,
about?
we just want to say thank you, guys. We're a nonprofit sport. We don't have home games. We don't have any way to make money, and so this seemed like a good option, and my kids are really excited about it.
Yeah, I think,
Good.
So,
good,
thank you, guys.
good.
Thank you.
Okay, I will now ask that all in favor for approval, state so by saying yes.
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 Okay, let the record show that the request has been approved. Thank you. Next will be approval of Resolution R 2022-05. This is a resolution declaring certain town property to be of surplus property.
Yes, sir. We'll have 3 items for, that will be listed on govdeals.com. It's the 2010 Ford F-150, a 2007 Chevrolet Colorado 4x4, and the NEC phone system.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any resident comments on
No,
this
sir.
one? None at all, okay. Discussion, Alderman Meyer,
Pass.
Vice Mayor,
Pass.
Alderman Burnett,
Pass.
Alderman Penchop.
Pass.
I have nothing as well. All in favor, vote by saying yes.
Yes.
Let the record show Resolution R 2022-05 has been approved as requested. Next will be the Town Administrator's report, and I'll yield the floor to David Smoke for his report.
Mayor, I have nothing to report tonight.
Okay, then we'll move right along to the Town Attorney's report.
No report.
No report. Okay, next will be citizens' comments. At the end of tonight's business meeting, there has been some time reserved for public comment for our Farragut residents. Do we have anyone signed up?
We have one speaker tonight, Scott Bailey.
Okay, please, sir, come to the podium.
Hey guys, I'm Scott Bailey, 11805 Kingston Pike. First of all, thank you guys for having me here. I own P3 Sportsplex right down the road here. And we started off in 2015, a little history, as a martial arts company. We've since grown to do cheer and tumbling. We run an after-school and summer camp program. And I sent an email on March 31st to every one of you guys about the recent splash pad policy. I met with Sue at the Town and Rec Center. The meeting was not producive of anything. And so I just wanted to speak in front of the town and express my displeasure of the policy. And I say displeasure because I don't truly mean it. I understand what everybody is trying to do. Everybody's trying to use McPhee Park in a productive way. We currently pick up 150 kids in Knox County and bring them back to our facility for after school every day. Our summer camp already has over 200 participants signed up for it for summer of 2022. And we, last year, didn't really use McPhee Park very much. We used it about twice last year for our summer camp. And the reason is because they instituted a policy last year that said we can only bring 30 kids. Well, when you have a program that has over 200 participants in it, it's practically impossible to bring 30 kids, right? And so anyway, so this year I was talking to Sue about the new policy that you guys just approved, and I asked her, I said, Sue, like, you're telling me we can bring 200 kids to the park and use the playground, but we cannot bring 200 kids and use the splash pad unless we rent a pavilion. She said yes. I said that makes absolutely no sense because if I bring 200 kids to McPhee Park, that place is going to be overcrowded, right? And so anyway, so my biggest concern is my kids that are working parents that are in our community. We're bringing over 500 people into the heart of Farragut every week. From all over, from Sweetwater, Tazewell, Tennessee, Sevierville, they are driving in to visit my program. And so I want to relay to you guys the impacts of this decision, because now my program, we try to take them on field trips, we try to do things with them that their parents would be able to do with them, right? But their parents cannot do that because they are working parents in our community. And so I want you guys to understand that these field trips to McPhee Park, even if we just take 30 or 40 kids, the young kids, to enjoy McPhee Park, it helps keep costs low for parents, which is, as you guys know, in the nationwide industry of childcare, that is a very important thing to most parents, but probably most of you guys, and most parents sitting in here. And so I try to keep my costs low. I try to keep my overhead low, and so that way we can provide a cost-effective solution to the town of Farragut. We are probably the largest child care center in the town. I started off in 2015 with 20 martial arts students, and now, like I said, we're over 500 students across all of our programs. So I'm just respectfully asking that each one of you guys consider adopting policies that make sense. One of the things I noted in my correspondence with you guys is Mondays, we don't take field trips on Mondays from our program because parents, I need that time on Mondays, even though we email them out, we text them, we do all the stuff, right? They don't get the communications, right? So I use Mondays as our day to communicate with parents to say, hey, this team is going on Tuesday to this field trip and Friday for this field trip. Well, the regulations that are imposed don't allow childcare centers to visit, but on Mondays and Wednesdays. Well, now I've only got Wednesdays to visit McPhee Park, and you guys can kind of see where we're going. And I'm sure most childcare centers, Big Fish, Comma, all these other childcare centers are probably in the same boat as me, right? So again, I would appreciate if you guys would read the 4-page email I sent you guys.
Scott, I did not receive that email.
Okay,
Can you
I
make sure
can,
you
I
send
will,
it?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. I talked to Travis, I think his name's Travis, the business liaison, Trevor, the business liaison. He met with me. He's been great. I talked to him last year about the splash pad policy with COVID. He's been great. I do have a hard time being labeled as a problem when we were one of the only COVID-19 shelters in the state of Tennessee open for the medical community to visit. And so obviously I get very passionate about that. And so, but anyway, I would really appreciate if you guys would consider revising the policy, incorporating businesses like mine into communications on these policies before they're adopted and distributed for the whole community. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
That communication as well, so could you send it out to?
Yes, sir. I would love to.
Okay, start off with, David, have you got a reply on any of this?
Well, I didn't receive the notification either, but I'm glad to get it, Scott.
Maybe firewalls or something.
My kids went to your program for several
Yes, sir.
years when
Yes,
they were
sir.
younger, and they
Yes, sir.
enjoyed it and everything else. I know that one of the largest complaints and the reason for the policy was from residents, and it's trying to
Yes.
strike the balance between residents and businesses, trying to do both. And so that's the reason why staff brought the policy to the board to look at. If we
And
need to look at revising that, and the board has a inkling to do that, we're certainly welcome to open that up again.
And I put in my email, when I sent this to you guys, which I guess firewalls or whatever didn't get it, I put that I totally understand the mom of two does not want 400 kids riding in on buses when they're trying to spend the time with the McPhee Park too, right? And I told the Parks and Rec director, I said, I do not want to be at McPhee Park with 5 other childcare centers there. It's too much for us. And so, but if we can bring 30 or 40 kids, and again, utilize that area, keep our costs low, and for citizens of Farragut, that would be fantastic for our community.
Just confirming, so what exactly is your main issue, or main 2 issues? So you understand that bringing 100 kids out there
too much.
does not fit?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so, I mean, the problem is if we looked at and changed it from a Monday, Wednesday, because I'm on the Parks and Rec Committee as well, so this is all pretty fresh. But if we changed it to Wednesday, Friday, and then another group comes back and says, well, we can't take field trips
Sure.
on Friday, so we can only do Wednesday, why are you limiting it to one day? I'm sure you understand that.
Yep.
So then, where does the problem lie? Is it that we've identified 2 days for groups to come in?
There's a couple of problems. Number one, the days, it's hard to fit in. I would have to do it over the entire summer, which means each group gets maybe 1 day at the splash pad, right? So that's number one. Because again, I don't want to take 200 kids to the splash pad, period. It's just too much, right? The good group, 30-ish kids with, 3 or 4 coaches there, that's fantastic, right? So that's the first issue. The second issue that I run into is we have to reserve these pavilions. They're wanting us to reserve a pavilion for $85. A-okay, sure, right? The issue I run into is if you rent a pavilion, you cannot move. If it gets to be on a Thursday and it's cloudy at 60 degrees at 9 a.m., I cannot move that. The only time I can change that is if there's a thunderstorm that comes through. Well, if I've got 30 kids, they do not want to go to the splash pad at 60 degrees on a cloudy day. So that's the issue I run into. And then if we do get a thunderstorm that comes through, I can only move that one time per the Parks and Rec policy. And if I move it one time and there's another issue or another weather-related event, then I lose my $85, which I own my own company, and I have a problem with losing money. You can ask my wife. But again, I've made it successful. We went from, working 3 jobs to now $1 million company in our community. So again, I want to balance that with the community, but also provide this for our students and our kids that truly, quite frankly, their parents are living here in our communities too.
Sure,
So-
and I think the tough part is there are so many cancellations, A.
Yes.
But then B, the demand for those things, I'm
Right.
sure you know.
Yes.
I mean, they're booked out. There's
Right.
none. I
Right.
tried to get one for a group I'm working with, and it's just completely
Right.
booked out. And so it's this balance of so many cancellations. How do you prohibit that
Absolutely.
when they're in such high demand. So
Yes.
I just want to make sure there's no other pain points that you're trying to bring up that I'm missing, because so far we have, clearly we have to limit the amount of kids. We're doing that on 2 days of the week. I guess what I'm saying is I'll have to find your email to read more in
Right.
depth, but I'm looking for something more of why you're so frustrated that we could potentially
Well,
look at.
and the biggest thing is, like I said, if I rent a pavilion, which holds 200 kids, right? But I bring it to the splash pad, no other citizen in the community can use that splash pad, right? And so now I've got me over here at this pavilion, I've got Camp Big Fish at this pavilion, we've got 300 kids using the splash pad in the playground. That doesn't seem like a great policy for our community, in my opinion.
Saying allowing multiple large groups
Right.
at the pavilions.
Not, yes. And the policy says if I rent a pavilion for $85, I can bring as many kids as I want to. Right? Which, again, if you bring 200 kids to the splash pad, that's way too many. And so, but I have to rent an entire pavilion to bring 30 kids, right? And then if I have Camp Big Fish over here bringing 30 kids or 100 kids or whatever, it gets overwhelms the parks. And there has to be a better balance of the reservation system. When I go, I don't want any other childcare centers there, right? It makes my life easier. It makes my coaches' lives easier. It makes sure my kids stay in their area with my coaches and they don't get lost and with safety, right? It also makes sure kids don't bonk into each other, bleeding. You know how kids are, right? So anyway, yeah, that's my biggest thing is I do not want the reservation system is not great.
Mr. Bailey, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
So just to make sure I understand, so with the policy change, theoretically, you could bring 200 kids, I guess, every Monday and
Wednesday, as long as I book the
as long as you
pavilion.
got the pavilion.
So for me,
Okay.
if I'm a business owner, should I go through and book every Monday and Wednesday just so we have the use of the pavilion? Well, then it takes away from the town of Farragut and the citizens and that kind of thing, right? So it's a balance, and I understand that.
I see. Okay. I want to compliment you. It's not often that we have a resident who is frustrated and comes here and hears our side and acknowledges that there's intention not to be ogres or to be mean to people, but we have an intent and there's a reason.
Yes, yes.
And I think you came up here tonight and you very clearly and succinctly raised your issues, and I appreciate the fact that you did that in a
Thank you, sir.
professional way, and I appreciate you trying to look at it from our perspective. I hate to say this, but I didn't see the email either. So if we could just regroup on that.
I can make
that's
I can
okay.
make copies for you
Yes,
guys.
I would like to see it. And just thank you. And thank you for letting him come in here. And I know it's frustrating, and it's very, your professionalism is much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I guess, David, we need to probably,
I think we need to read the email and
Yes.
see what Scott has to say.
Yeah.
And then I'd be happy to get with Scott afterwards and talk to the board about it and see if there's anything we can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Okay, anyone else?
No, sir.
None. Okay, well, time's approximately 6:54 PM, and without objection, April 14th, 2022, Farragut Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting is now adjourned.